Hello everyone. Welp, it looks like we are back on e-learning. I'm sure you're all as excited as I am. Yay! So before we begin with this unit, I just want to say that some classes left off at different places on the syllabus. However, because we are back online for now, we will all just begin with wind energy and then catch up when we're back in class. At least that's the plan for now. So the goal is, over the next 2 weeks on e-learning, we will talk about wind energy and wind turbine design, okay? With this knowledge, we'll come back at the end of January and begin in the lab building a wind turbine, testing it, and hopefully having a little competition to see who can generate the most electricity with their blade design. 2 other points. As always, I have a worksheet to accompany this PowerPoint. Please complete it as we go through and bring it to class with you. Also complete the attendance question, which I will include on e-learning. You must do the attendance question. That will show me and the school that you attended this class, and you'll get credit for it. If you don't do the question, I'm considering that an absence, okay? So let's get started here. We're going to talk about wind energy. I'm going to keep this first class short, just talking specifically about vocabulary and what is wind, okay? So our objectives here, again, what is wind and how does wind energy work? Today we'll just focus on that first objective. As always, we've got some vocabulary words here. This focuses specifically on the wind turbine. As you'll see the picture on the right-hand side of the screen, we've got different pieces of the wind turbine that we need to know and understand. So, first of all, the blade. This catches the kinetic energy of the wind and rotates. It spins. Now remember, these blades, like a turbine, are designed with an airfoil shape to capture as much of that kinetic energy, or the moving energy, as possible. The blade is connected to the rotor. The rotor rotates. Get it? Rotate, rotor, rotor, rotates. And this rotor connects the blades of the turbine to the gearbox, and then the gearbox to the generator. Now this is critical to ensuring that the maximum amount of kinetic energy is converted into electricity. Speaking of the gearbox increases the rotation speed of the blade. So as the blades spin, they're not rotating very quickly, okay? We'll talk about how fast a little later. But when it is connected to the gearbox is going to increase that speed, making it rotate very, very, very fast. This is critical because it's connected to the generator. And the generator, as we know, is going to convert that rotation into electricity. And like we talked about before, the generator, the copper coil, and the magnetic field, either or, must spin very fast in order to create an electric field and to capture that electricity. So we'll get into how this all works a little later as we look at specifically the wind turbine. Now, beyond that, the entire turbine is encased in housing, and this just protects the generator and keeps everything together. Okay? The tower holds up the turbine to the necessary height. Wind, as we will see, moves faster as you go higher because it's doesn't have as many obstructions like buildings or trees or perhaps hills even. The foundation then keeps everything from falling over. Pretty important. And finally, the transformer. It takes the electricity created in the generator and it makes it usable at home or at school or at a business. So we're going to look at each little component as we move forward. But let's look at wind specifically. So, what is wind? Wind is just simply air in motion. And it is produced by the uneven heating of Earth's surface by the sun. So if you look at the little GIF on the screen, you'll see the sun is heating the Earth. But at certain locations, it's going to be hotter than at other locations. At this time of year, simply because of the distance from the sun, Southeast Asia, Thailand, is going to be warmer than, let's say, Canada or Russia. At other times of the year, Russia or the United States or Australia might be warmer than other parts of the Earth. And this is going to produce wind, okay? Heating certain parts of the Earth differently. Now, what happens when this occurs? Well, as the sun heats the Earth, air particles, right, small little microscopic pieces of air, begin to move faster. Now, as these particles move faster, as we've talked about before, they move further apart, and because they're air, they begin to rise. Okay, they begin to move upwards. Now, as these warm air particles rise or go up, the cool air particles, which are higher in the sky, begin to sink, begin to move towards the ground. Now remember, this is another example of convection, what we talked about last term. Warm particles move up, cool particles sink. Warm particles are further apart and moving faster. Cool particles are closer together and moving slower. Just like we talked about last time, when you boil water, hot water rises, cool water sinks, creating these convection cycles. Like we see here. Okay? The cooler particles are moving, but they're not moving fast, and they're also close together. What we see is the hotter particles, the warmer particles, are moving faster and they are farther apart. Now, this causes wind. As those warm particles begin to rise due to the heating of the sun, they rise up, and then guess what? They begin to cool. As they cool, they sink, and they push that warm air over land. Now, a little facet of this is that because of this movement, cool air causes high pressure. Okay, as it's pushing downwards, pressure is going to increase, whereas hot air causes low pressure. As hot air rises, the pressure at that area of the earth decreases. And what this causes is weather systems. Okay? That's why we have rainy times of the year, cool times of the year, hot times of the year, and everything in between. But it's also going to cause wind. As that high pressure cool air sinks, it's pushing that low pressure warm air as it rises. And that's going to be how or why we need to capture the energy of that wind and use it to generate electricity. So we're going to see that some places and some times of the year, let's say even, are more effective at capturing that wind than others. But we'll dig into that as we move forward. Simply put here, wind is called a renewable energy source because wind will be created as long as the sun shines on the earth. As long as the sun heats the earth unevenly, wind will be created every day for millions and billions of years to come. All right, so that's how it differs from non-renewable energy or fossil fuels. So ladies, to keep this simple and straightforward for our first e-learning lesson, I just wanted to talk about wind. Again, we will continue to build upon this as we look at wind turbines and how they function. But again, please complete the worksheet, bring it with you, and please complete the attendance question. All right? And that must be done so that I know you attended this class. All right. Thank you so much. Good luck. I hope you had a nice holiday, and I hope to see you in class very soon.